It might just be a pile of parts, but it's the parts of a pair.
Hi! If you want even more Meccano goodness, why don't you check out my Patreon channel? And please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. I post updates in the community section, not only for this week's Patreon build, but also for what I'm currently working on. Thank you, and back to the build. Hi, and welcome back. Well, this is it. The last two builds for this set. My brother got this set for Christmas in 1969 when he was 7. Well, to be honest, he got a set 3, but it also came with a set 1 manual. And like me, he dabbled with Meccano until, also like me, other things took his interest. My father built a number of the models for him, but that was a facet of my father. He did, you watched, normally in silence, as children were meant to be seen and not heard. Or not seen and not heard. Quite why he wanted a large family is beyond me at times, but I digress. I've finished the manual, and it's been fun. Some of the builds have been a pain, some just a disappointment when complete, and some an absolute joy. In some ways, Meccano is addictive. The challenge to build the bigger, more complicated models starts to get to you. And this set is really in need of some restoration work to be done. That's a project that I started around 2020, and I've not moved much on it, mainly because I want to film it, and that has a knock-on effect of not completing the task because of time demands, lack of project management on my part. The list is quite long. These two models are for the dockside crane and a tractor. The crane is a nice simple build, giving a very workable model that could be used alongside other toys. The tractor not so. It is a standalone model, but does have some interesting challenges for construction. I will do a review of what I think about the set sometime soon. A what's in the box video. But overall, these set 1 builds were fun to make. The skills for building are just on the side of pushing the boundaries, but not creating a situation where the new builder can't complete them. This is an important base for any new hobby or set of skills. You have to have a foundation base that pushes you but allows you to succeed. But let's look at this week's models. We live in a world of goods moved by shipping containers. But not that long ago, goods were unloaded by hand, and large dockside cranes were the mighty giants that helped to stock our nations and keep goods moving, both inbound and outbound, helping the nation to be a strong exporter. Logistics of ports were and still are about getting what we need to where we need it just in time. And this model strikes me more as a hammerhead crane than a true dockside crane, but that is the art of semantics. To call this a dockside crane is correct. It is the type of crane that would be used on a dockside. But it's probably not the type of crane that would be normally seen unloading and loading ships. Mainly because it's fixed in one place. The type used to load and unload ships could travel. The shipping container was a byproduct of the Second World War. One of those inventions that sort of happened because there was a need. But nobody had really thought of the need. The conflict was the first time the need to get equipment to arrive together, ready to go, and to be deployed quickly. It could be argued that other conflicts had had the same need, but the Second World War was different in many ways. The island-hopping campaign of the Pacific War demanded that ability to resupply logistics in a manner that had never been seen, as the fluid nature of the assaults changed the pace of normal warfare. What started as simple plywood cases changed post-war into what we have today. And here's one of those interesting points that research throws up. Nobody knows how many shipping containers there are in the world. Estimates run from anywhere from 5 million to 170 million. But the actual number is unknown. Shipping containers are broadly divided into two sizes, 20 foot and 40 foot. But these are all labelled as TEUs, or 20 foot equivalent unit. So a 2 TEU would be a 40 foot container, and a 1 TEU would be a 20 foot container. This broad classification has helped to stabilise the logistics of transportation, as ships can now be built to take a certain number of TEUs. The older classification of 30 foot and 10 foot containers are being phased out of use completely. And over a shipping container's average 12-year lifespan, it's part of a team that's moving nearly 2 billion metric tons of cargo each year. And has seen the deadweight tonnage of container ship increase in the last 40 years from 11 million tonnes to 275 million tonnes. The largest fleet providing this service is a Mediterranean shipping company with some roughly 4 million TEUs capacity. In many ways, we're shipping more goods than ever before as global populations increase and the world becomes more integrated. And our requirement to work together now, more than ever, is daily becoming more apparent. So, if shipping containers account for 2 billion tonnes of shipping each year, what is the rest of the 9 billion tonnes? Trying to get that data has been a bit of a fight. I can't source all of it, but nearly 2 billion tonnes of crude oil, 1 billion tonnes of iron ore, and nearly 400 million tonnes of grain. And without the humble tractor, that 400 million tonnes would never exist. Without it, farming just wouldn't be happening on the level it is. And at this point, I'm going to add a caveat to this. I'm talking about internal combustion engine tractors here. I don't have enough time in this video to fully explore the humble tractor. But in time, on some other builds, I will give some more time to this iconic vehicle. The beast that seems to block the roads these days is a far move from the tractor of my childhood, and even further from its origins in the late part of the 19th century. The first internal combustion engine tractor was introduced in 1890 by an American, John Froelich. Before this, traction engines had reigned supreme for about 50 years. While the first tractors were stationary machines to power a single job, it didn't take long for them to become drivable machines that could take on the jobs that were traditionally carried out by horses. But the tractor also had a knock-on effect in the community prior to World War II in America. There were some roughly 30 million people living on farms, with around 1.2 million tractors in use. By the time of the war's ending, a 6-year period, the overall population living on farms had dropped by 7 million, while the increase in tractors had grown to 4 million. But there was another downside to farming with tractors. Dorothy Bell, a daughter of an American farmer, remembered her father getting his first tractor, and while farming was made easier, it cost more than horses to operate. For one thing, you had to buy gasoline, and that could be a problem. The link of tractor to either rail or road network, and then to sea, is vital for the movement of our food. But rarely do you see it being transported by air. In fact, 60% of all food is shipped on water, compared to that of 16% by air. And the reason of this is the effect on the global environment. The carbon footprint per tonne is a fraction of that on goods transported by ship, around 0.01 of a kilogram of CO2 per tonne, compared to that of 1.13 kilogram of CO2 per tonne for air freight. So what is shipped by air? It tends to be food stocks that have a very short lifespan, with asparagus coming in high on the list. Then foods like green beans and berries. So when you're shopping for highly perishable food, if they've travelled a long way, it was shipped by air. So maybe we can be more aware of how transportation affects not just us, but the world in general. And like I said at the beginning, this manual is finished. And looking back at the builds, it's been an interesting learning curve. From learning to film, script writing and research, fighting my own inner demons around dyslexia and my speech impediment, the general lack of belief that I can do the task in the first place. And here I am, nearly 6 months of filming and script writing and learning, and it's been an interesting journey so far. So much learned from research, so many challenges that have removed me from my comfort zone and forced me to face the challenges and make a stand against them. And on the whole, I really enjoyed this set of builds. As I said earlier though, I'm going to do a review of the set soon. The set 2 builds will start in a fortnight's time, and as I write this script, this week's build is from a model that I was convinced would be a failure. I was sure I wouldn't be able to make it work, it just seemed too complicated, and that's a letter balance. You will get to watch it in 4 weeks' time. Life will always throw problems at us. That's one of life's guarantees. But each time we stand against those challenges, we get to add a new experience to our knowledge, a chance to learn new things and overcome those challenges that make us doubt our ability to reach for our dreams. The only way to overcome them is to face the challenges, to push through, even if the idea of hiding is easier, seems less painful. Maybe Robert Frost sums it up best in the poem, The Road Less Travelled. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Because for all that this channel has challenged me, for all my worries that I will get nowhere, I'm glad I'm walking this path, for this creativity helps me find peace. And peace is worth searching for.